All right, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott with Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, hopefully this is the last day I talk about this ski for a while. I am going to be talking about the Atomic Bent 100. Specifically, I'm going to be reacting to Peter Glenn's review. Now, I watched a really good review with Andy Lewicki. He gave really good insight. He was like, the ski doesn't feel quite right. Underfoot, it feels a little sluggish, which I thought was really cool insight. And I felt the same way. I did not like these skis. I gave them a 6 out of 10 because they floated really well. They may be good in the park, I'm not familiar with that, but these skis did not turn well. They felt bulky, they felt like you loaded, you could initiate the turn, but you basically only got half a turn and then you go straight rather than hooking into the next turn. So very unimpressed with these skis. They've been sold by Curated as a do-it-all ski, which they are definitely not. So if you hear that, run. I think that if I was gonna buy a pair of bent Chetler skis, I would be getting a 120 and they would be a designated powder ski, okay? But I would not get the 100 thinking you can do it all on those. I don't think they're a very good ski unless you are specifically in powder or you are looking for a park and powder ski. They might do the job there, but I know they're popular. I know the art looks great, but I would stay away. That's my opinion. I don't recommend these to any of my personal friends. I'm not sponsored. I'm not affiliated. This is a hobby and I'm telling it to you straight. I did not care for these skis. So we've gotten a whole spectrum. We've been doing this for the last few days. We've got Curated, which thinks they're good for everyone and they recommend it to people in the East and whoever. And then you've got Andy Lewicki, who said he didn't really care for them. And then you've got me, who says these are a powder ski and maybe a freestyle ski, but they are not gonna do it all. If you want a carving ski, look at the Maverick, look at something else. There's plenty of other good skis out there. So I think this reaction is going to be closer to the Curated. We're reacting to the Atomic Bent 100 review by Peter Glenn, which is Jonny Moseley. He tends to have kind of the same issue that Curated has, where he really is like trying to move inventory and he's going to be super positive about the ski. More so than like Ski Essentials. Ski Essentials still needs to move inventory, but I feel like they're at least honest about a ski's downsides. They don't like talk about them fully. They are really quick and they kind of glaze over it, or they really rely on you kind of, you know, connecting the dots and reading between the lines on what the ski's missing. But Peter Glenn does none of that. They just, at least everything I've seen between like Bomber and the Nordic Enforcer, they really like a lot of whatever. So I tend to not trust these reviews, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe today will be different. So anyway, let's jump into it. And here we go.
All right, Jonny Moseley here for Peter Glenn Ski and Sports. We're talking about the Atomic Bent series designed by Chris Benchett.
First off, how many times do you see the Peter Glenn logo here? I made a comment like, if you ever see Peter Glenn sticker on my helmet, just put me in the retirement home and let's count together. I see one in the bottom corner, which is like their logo for the channel. Then I see another one in the actual video, Peter Glenn, so that's 2. Then I see Peter Glenn on Johnny's hat, that's 3. And then they had the audacity to take this beautiful ski. I don't like the ski, but I think it's beautiful. Like it has Chris Benchettler's original art, and they slapped white Peter Glenn right across the middle. Are you joking? The audacity. The audacity. I don't like these skis, but they are pretty. You don't have to stick Peter Glenn across the middle of everything. We get it. It's the Peter Glenn channel. Yuck. 4 times Peter Glenn logo. This is pretty gross. I gave Curated a lot of hassle. Actually, they deserve everything I give them, but this is especially kind of gross. Anyway, let's get into the ski review, but I just wanted to point that out.
And this is the 100. And this actually is a 188, which is kind of cool, a little bit longer. And the reason it doesn't feel like a 188 when you're skiing it is because it does have quite a bit of rocker in the tip.
Okay, I'm just gonna clarify something. I skied on this exact length, the 188 on the Bent 100. I skied this exact ski, exact graphic, and I can tell you, they felt long. I felt all the length on the 188, especially when I went in the woods. They are so kind of like sluggish to initiate turns that they really, you feel all that length. I wish I had been on something more like a 182 or 178, something like that. They really did not do well, and you do feel that length. That's a bunch of, at least in my opinion, that's a bunch of baloney. And also, just so you know, I skied on the exact same skis, if that's useful to you at all.
And it has a full turned up tail, which is nice. It has not just a faux twin tip, it's got a full twin tip. So it's the type of ski that, you know, when you're skiing around the mountain, you really feel like, hey, there's a side hit. Let me do a butter 3 off of that over there on the left. Let me go hit the park. Let me hit that natural kicker. Like, it's definitely inspires you to want to sort of like carve up different parts of the mountain and do tricks and jump off stuff.
Okay, so having the twin tip, is he trying to say it just like allows you to have more freedom to land switch? Because that was a very roundabout way of saying that. He's like building up these scenarios to be like, don't you want to be the guy carving up the mountain? And maybe it's good for that. Like, I can't speak to the freestyle part, but he's like taking a very basic attribute of a ski, being twin tip, and really like stretching it out.
And it's just right on the edge of having that dampness. Like, it carves fine. Like, it does well on hard pack.
It does not carve fine. You could say it like initiates a turn and it carves okay, but I can tell you firsthand, as someone who tried to load these up, it does not carve well. It can maybe complete a turn on a super G hill if you have the whole place to yourself, but it doesn't feel good doing it, and it does not snap into the next turn. It basically gives you half a turn. You load it up and then the ski just kind of tracks straight, and you got to really course correct it. And Johnny, if you're gonna make that claim, I'm hoping I'm gonna see you carve in this video, because that is a bold claim and I don't see anything to really back it up. Also, that Peter Glenn logo is so ugly. I can't get over it just like sitting 4 times on my screen. And on that beautiful ski, come on, I don't even like these skis, but I like looking at them.
It's not gonna like slay hard pack like a full, you know, like a mind bender or an enforcer that's got Teton in it, but it carves just fine. It's got about an 18-meter radius on it.
Okay, 18 meters is pretty big for the ski, in my opinion. And also he's saying at least he's being honest, like it's not as good as a K2 Mindbender, but rather than talking about the negative of the ski, he's just like, well, I can spin a different way. I don't have to talk about the negative of the ski. I can just talk about the positive of another ski. And by contrast, it's like, come on, just say they don't carve that well. And saying that they carve okay, I feel like is a big reach. And then you're gonna tell me about that, and I'm watching video of you in the moguls. I'm sure they're great in the moguls, but if you're gonna make a claim about carving, let me see you carve. And I don't even know if that's Johnny's fault. That might just be the editor, or whoever shot it. Maybe they didn't shoot him in the groomers, or they chose not to use it. I don't know, but if you're gonna talk about carving, I want to see the ski carving. If you're gonna talk about the jumps, show me jumps. Right? This seems like basic stuff.
Which gives, sorry, it's got about a 21-meter radius on it, so that's like a...
I was gonna say 18 sounded small. 21, yeah, it's 21. They take forever to turn around. Also, you guys edited this. You can change that. It's not even on him. It's an audio clip. Oy, oy, oy.
A little bit longer, but still you can make that thing whip around. It's got enough camber, it comes back. You can see it's got, you know, almost a full vertical sidewall. I mean, this thing's beefy. It's got the resist edge on it, so you can hit rails on it as well. You'll notice too that the mounting point is a little farther forward, which sometimes when you're mounted forward on the ski, you really feel it. You're like, oh, way over the front. This one, I didn't feel that way at all. And I think part of that is it allows you to ski a little bit longer ski if you're a little bit farther forward on the ski. The advantage of being a little bit farther forward on the ski is that it's going to feel like you can spin, it's going to feel like you can ski backwards, and this thing skis backwards really nicely.
Okay, that's all fine. This is fine insight. The mogul skiing looks clean. From what I know about mogul skiing, he's talking about how being center mounted makes it easier to spin in the air. That's fine. These skis did feel a little heavy to me, especially since they're only 100 grams under the Maverick. So I don't know if that's at all valuable to you. these skis may be fine in the park. I just don't have that kind of insight. And I'm gonna be honest, when I don't know something, I'll tell you, rather than, I mean, I think Jonny knows most things. He's a good skier, but he really, really leans in like to being positive about aspects of the ski that clearly it lacks. Like, I don't think this is an all-around bad ski. I think it's a well-designed ski. I think it does the things that it's good at well. But let's not ignore some of the downsides. And honestly, my opinion is, if you're gonna get a bent and you're skiing big mountains in the west, like you want to float on powder, get a 120, really go all out and get a big powder ski. I think that's where this thrives. Maybe it thrives in the park, but my impression of skiing on the 100, that it felt like a watered down version that was just gonna be more accessible for everyone. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the feeling I've gotten from having skied on them personally and also watching other people's reactions.
Skiing it backwards a bunch. You can even ski in a little bit of pow backwards. The 100 width is pretty money. You're gonna get away with almost all conditions. I think the consensus for all of us is that we pretty much ski 100 all the time around here, unless it's a big pow day and then you jump up. But it pretty much covers you in all conditions, especially if you ski it a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's my problem with this ski though, is like the stuff that it's really good at is powder and the park. And if you're trying to get everything out of the ski with the 100, you're missing out on that performance. And you know, this is, let's be honest, more of a park ski rather than a do-it-all ski as it's been advertised.
5'11", so a 188 is, you know, with boots on is kind of like right at my head, okay? So if you're at home and you're like, what size am I? You know, convert your height to centimeters and then compare it to the ski.
That's good advice, Jonny, but also for someone who's 5'11", 188 is a little bit long. I think because you're an expert and because you're a former Olympian, you're able to get a little bit more length than most people. So I would be careful making length recommendation, like, because again, intermediate skiers are buying the ski, even though they shouldn't, in my opinion, shouldn't be, or they're not going to enjoy it as much, or maybe they will if they're just going to the powder in the park. But anyway, if an intermediate skier looks at this, I wouldn't go that long. If you were like 5'11", I would maybe look at 182. That's just my opinion, but Jonny, I'd be careful with that because you're a little skewed, and he's used to the days of straight skis when skis were really long.
And if you're an expert and you're going to the bench settler, don't be afraid to put it right up at your head or above. And that'll give you the opportunity to run fast. Won't feel like your tip is too short because you're gonna be mounted a little further forward on these skis, but you'll feel inspired to be able to try to do bench settler type stuff. Ski backwards in the POW, do cork 7s. You're gonna have a killer winter.
Okay, yeah, he's selling this dream of skiing like Chris Benchsettler, which is like a little used car salesy to me. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong about that, like, but I would say it just depends on where you're skiing too. Like, I had a 188 and I wanted to go in the woods where the woods are a little less cleared out and they're a little closer together, and 188 was way too long to be in the woods for that. So it just depends on what you're doing. If you're out in Utah and you've got these nice big open areas, or even like Tahoe, like what I saw him skiing on, 188 might be fine. But if you're somebody who's getting a little more scraggly, a little bit closer turns, and like, you know, kind of being clumped together because the trees are close, especially in the east if you're in the glades, I wouldn't want to ski this long. They're not that responsive, and it's really hard to kind of get it together inside of those little turns.
Send us some pictures at Jonny Moseley at Instagram or at Peter Glenn. All right, take care.
Did anyone else get the ick from like a middle-aged man plugging their Instagram at the end? This feels like a little dystopian to me. Overall, what do I think of this review? Well, it's mostly baloney. I don't think Jonny's like going out of his way to be deceitful here. I think he's, you know, leaning heavy on the ski strengths, which is fine. Like, and he's got pretty good insight for, you know, moguls and jumps. Not the worst Peter Glenn video I've seen. However, it's mostly baloney. It's mostly like corporate marketing and being like, oh yeah, you're gonna be skiing like Chris Benchsettler this winter and send us your pics. And it's like, are you really though? Like, if you're skiing like Chris Benchsettler, wouldn't you be on Chris's skis on the 120 version, right? Like, they're trying to take this ski that's meant to like do it all, but it's not a very good do it all ski, and then it's trying to like make it approachable for everyone. But really, it's like if you're gonna ski big POW lines like Chris Benchetler, go with the 120, use it as a designated powder ski. What they're trying to do is, I think they're trying to get more market share with this one ski and making it a do-it-all ski in the 100 range. And what I think the overall effect is, you just kind of get a watered down version of the real thing. Like, they have a 90 version. I can't imagine wanting to be on the 90 version of the Bent versus like anything in the Maverick line. And I'm not super familiar with the Backland, but I would imagine the Backland does some of that better too. I don't know. Like, even my Vantages, I would rather be on, and that's an old ski. That's a very old ski. So yeah, my assessment on this, mostly baloney. I can't really call out the freestyle part or the moguls. But yeah, this is mostly baloney. You got a middle-aged man with like 4 Peter Glenn logos plugging his Instagram at the end. I don't know. It all gives me the big ick, and there's a lot of stuff that was said that is highly exaggerated for the average skier. So again, my assessment, these are nice powder skis if you're just gonna use them for powder, and they might be good freestyle skis. But if it was me and I was just gonna go all out, I'd get the 120s, get them in a nice long length, and use them as designated big mountain powder skis. If I was in the East, I don't even think I'd look at these. Unless maybe you're like a designated freestyle skier and you're gonna go in the powder, like, you know, the handful of days that you're gonna get that in the East. But for the most part, if I was going to the East, I would do everything I could to avoid having a pair of Bent 100s. I'd take almost anything over that, because the skis really do not carve and turn well. It's not a pleasant turn. I didn't enjoy it. So anyway, those are my honest thoughts. But as always, thank you for watching. If you like this content, you can like and subscribe. You know, that helps my channel out a lot. You can also ring the bell if you want to make sure you kind of get all my content in order as it comes out. But more than anything, I just want to say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I like making this content a lot. People leave really nice comments, and yeah, just overall, I really love doing this. So thanks for making it fun. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.